Okay, welcome to part two, guys. I had to stop because it was going to go too long, and I didn't want to stop midway through uh, a section of the story. So, anyways, we just got done. So, Pompey and Caesar have a battle at Pharsalus. Pompey ends up losing, so he's going to flee. So, his army folds up, and Pompey is forced to flee the battlefield. Brutus and Cassius, we'll talk about them later. So Pompey decides to run to Egypt, where Rome has been a long trading friend and is kind of good buddies with their young pharaoh called Ptolemy. Ptolemy has a wife named Cleopatra. Now, classic Egypt here. Ptolemy also has a sister named Cleopatra, and she's the same person. All right, so we have that classic Egypt incest going on here. So, Ptolemy is scared of Caesar because he knows what had happened in Gaul and in Spain. So when Pompey shows up to Egypt, Ptolemy actually has Pompey captured and he beheads Pompey. So Pompey's done now. Caesar does not know this. So Caesar's chasing Pompey to Egypt. And when he gets there, Ptolemy has a basket, okay, like a wicker basket. And think about like the guy who's playing the Cobra Charmer and the snake comes out of the basket. It's like one of those baskets, if that gives you a picture. He gives it to Caesar, tells Caesar to open it up. When Caesar does, he's looking down at Pompey's face, staring back at him. Now Caesar's kind of PO'd at this because Caesar wanted to be the one to kill Pompey, not somebody else. All right, so Caesar makes the trip to Egypt. He decides I'm here. My job of killing Pompey is already kind of done, but he gets kind of mixed up with this girl Cleopatra here. All right. Now, Caesar did not know this at the time, but Cleopatra and Ptolemy are kind of having their own internal squabbles, where Cleopatra wants to become the queen, okay, but Ptolemy obviously does not want to give up his throne. So Cleopatra kind of convinces, we'll say here, gave Julius Caesar an offer he couldn't refuse, kind of convinces Cleopatra, or Cleopatra convinces Caesar to help her out in the civil war against her brother. All right. Now, the story is kind of funny because Cleopatra, she's not supposed to be she has to go under like the cloak of darkness when she wants to talk to Julius Caesar for the first time. So what she does is she has her henchmen roll her up in a rug. And so these henchmen show up to Caesar's door and they basically just unravel this rug. And after it tumbles out, boom, Cleopatra's right there, according to what the sources say. And that's kind of the first time they meet and they start to kind of plan this takeover of Egypt. All right. Eventually, Ptolemy ends up getting killed, so Cleopatra becomes ruler of Egypt. Long story short, Caesar is going to kind of make his return trip home. Also, Cleopatra is one of the most richest persons of all time, like in history, like one of the top 10. If you like take in case like inflation and stuff like that, Cleopatra is one of the top 10 richest persons of all time. So she's able to kind of pay for Caesar's conquest back to Rome and any other conquest they want to have. All right. Now, the funny thing is to make out this whole story, to me, is I think like the age between Cleopatra and Julius Caesar is like 20 or 30 years. It's like a huge difference. I think she's like 13 or 14 at the time, and I think Caesar's like 30 or 40. So it's a weird deal. Times were different back then. Anyways, on his return trip back to Rome, as you can see here, by late 47 BCE, Caesar had reconquered all of Rome and established a government for the people. In return, in 46 BCE, Caesar and Rome basically declare him dictator for life. Now, before, if you were chosen dictator, you had control of everything. You had the final say in everything for 6 months. Well, dictator for life, now you have unlimited power for the unlimited amount of time. And here's a quiz question that's going to come out of it. It's the saying that Caesar supposedly says. It's called Veni Vidi Vici. All right, and the question on the quiz, I think it just says who said this saying, but Veni Vidi Vici is kind of Caesar's like when he sits down kind of on his throne, and he just utters these words, Veni Vidi Vici, and it says, I came, I saw, I conquered. All right, kind of him kind of recognizing that Yep, I basically conquered all of Central Europe. I came back. I conquered Rome once. I went to Egypt, took control of Egypt, and then on my way back to Rome, conquered everything in between. And here I am, sitting as the top dog in all of the Roman Empire. Vidi Vidi Vici. I came, I saw, I conquered. All right. But as we know, Caesar needed to beware the Ides of March. This is from a fortune teller, not a fortune teller, kind of like an oracle. Like, remember, like the oracle at Delphi from Greece? Oracles and kind of fortune tellers are still big parts of it. So one of these fortune tellers tells them, like, beware the Ides of March. And the Ides of March is basically just like the middle of March. We'll just say that. So the fortune teller basically said, you know, beware of like the middle of March, for the most part. And obviously we know that Caesar, when he was there, and now that he's dictator, you guys read yesterday about some of his reforms that he started to put in place that kind of made a lot of people mad. So eventually, like 23, no, it's more than that. I think I'm getting the number of stab wounds and the number of senators mixed up. Anyways, so we have Caesar eventually, while he's giving a speech, the senators kind of rise up and to try to take back the power of Rome because Caesar's becoming too powerful. They recognize that they would much rather have a republic again, where we're having a consul and we're having a mix-up in leadership every so often. Having one person in charge is not good for Rome. So they step up and they end up murdering Caesar, right? They end up stabbing him while he's giving a speech. Even one of his, like, I think you guys have all seen it from the Shakespeare movie, like the saying, "E tu, Brute," talking about Brutus, like Brutus and Cassius. Brutus is kind of someone that Caesar took under his wing. And it was kind of grooming him to be maybe the next dictator, but for sure to be somebody inside Caesar's inner circle. So even Brutus, while, you know, according to the Shakespeare play, right, when Brutus is stabbing Caesar, Caesar looks at him and says, "E tu, Brute," just kind of means like, even you, Brutus, even you. So anyways, Caesar ends up getting killed, and that's where we're going to leave off our notes for today. He's murdered. So now, while we leave you guys off here, you know, the next question is, what happens next for Rome? Are they going to go back to a republic? Normally when we have like a power vacuum is what we called it, when like the leader dies, so there's like an opening at the table. Normally this power vacuum leads to like another civil war or some internal squabbles, because there's not just one person who's like, oh yeah, I think I should be the leader. There's like normally 3, 4, 5, 6 people who say, yeah, I should be leader, and they kind of fight each other over the throne, so to speak. All right, so that's where I'll leave you guys off today. You'll see this video Friday, so just notes. If you have any questions, email me, obviously, guys. If you want to set up a one-on-one Google Meet, if you're struggling, or if you want some more clarification on this stuff, feel free to do that. I'm going to start throwing little like mini video clips in that are not going to be assigned, but just kind of animated clips that are going to help explain the story, and it's obviously a little more entertaining than just staring at my face. I'll kind of show it a little bit more. Think about like the crash course videos, but a lot shorter. All right, that's all I got, people. I will see everybody next week. Have a good one.